What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sales Remastered. My name is Daniel and I'm your host. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the law of average in sales and how it applies to our sales mindset, our view on sales, and how we accumulate sales to earn our income and earn our seat. And so, if you haven't caught the episode that was uploaded just before this one of how the law of average could be our anchor as to why we don't actually push through to get to where we want or go to a level where we desire. And now in this episode, I'm going to share with you how it actually affects us in sales. And so in sales, just a quick background snapshot in case any of you are new to the channel. I've been in sales for over 20 years in general, but as far as real estate, close to 20 years in itself. And when I say real estate, I'm not talking about selling houses, like I'm putting a sign in the front yard and I'm hanging out at an open house. Although that's very popular right now, I'm talking about sales as far as persuasion and influencing others or prospects or consumers to buy from me rather than my competitors, even though my competitors were a lower price or a lower rate or a lower fee or lower points or whatever. Maybe they had more recognition, maybe they had more positive reviews, but I want to share with you how I was able to overcome these differences in comparison to my competitors, and also overcome just the fact that I was younger than most coming up in this game. And why law of average played a role is because it was always there as I was trying to climb to the top. It always played a role in the presence of any environment that I found myself in. And while I had the option to reference average as to I'm getting by, right, I chose to aim for above average. And I want to share with you the type of results that it brought ultimately. But in this episode, I'm going to tell you, basically share with you how it changed the results over the long run. But initially it was hard because when you think about the word average, it's real hard to admit that our actions are average, because we have this notion that average is weak, right? Or average is kind of just your regular Joe Schmo. And not everybody wants to be above that. There's a lot of people who are just striving to become average. And you'll know if you're striving to become average because you don't set your own goals. And let me elaborate. And so, your manager could possibly set your goals. Your team lead could possibly set your goals. Or you may be allowing the floor to set your goals. And when I say set your goals, I'm talking about like you immediately look for the minimum. Like, okay, well, what's the quota? And then you'll use that quota as kind of your gauge, your measurement. That's your ruler. And so, let's say your floor's minimum was 8, and your whole goal is just to get your 8. Like, you're okay with getting to 8. Not only that, but when you hit your 8, you're actually patting yourself on the back, because we were wired from a young age, like I had mentioned in the video before this, we were wired from a young age from our parents and our parents' parents. Our parents were wired that way through their parents and their parents' parents. And so it just, through generations and through the lack of technology and lack of resources, it's no fault of theirs that they wired us to be protective, to, be conservative, to ration, and to almost believe that only a few people can achieve what we believe as successful, right? Or what we believe as wealthy or what we believe is rich. Like I even use the reference of looking at the value of certain things when it comes to your mindset. But in this case, I want to share with you the value of certain things when it comes to sales. And so you're going to have an influence on any sales floor. I shared this a while back about how every sales floor in any industry, any company, anywhere in this world, any sales floor has below average, average, and above average. Although that their average, quote unquote, is a little bit higher than the next company, it all really depends on resources. Now, quick disclosure, do not allow that to be a reason, right? Don't use that as a reason like, oh, well, my company don't got the resources, so it's okay. You know, that's what I'm talking about. That's the voice of average. That's the law of average. And in sales, it tempts us all the time. You know, like in other words, like we in sales will sometimes miss our goal, and then our subconscious will latch on to an excuse that we wholeheartedly believe is the truth. And the reason why we do this is to protect ourselves. It's human instinct to protect ourselves. And so we want to protect ourselves from failure. We want to protect ourselves from, you know, fear or feelings of failure, right? And so when we justify our shortcomings because A, B, and C, or because, you know, this, that, and the other, then what we're doing is we're basically telling ourselves it's okay. And once we accept that it's okay, then guess what? It's okay. And I want to get you to a different level. I want to help you restructure and redevelop your mind, remaster it in a way where you don't see average as okay. You see average as the bare minimum. And I want to illustrate something to you. You know, I'm a sales manager, right? And anything that requires a pricing exception on pricing, it requires my approval. And so if, you know, one of my agents for whatever reason can't sell rate sheet, they have to come to me and ask for an exception, right? And so I want to share something with you. You know, when it comes to an exception, not every person sells the same. What I've noticed often are those who are brand new to the sales floor, always seems to be able, or at least in position, ironically, to sell without exceptions, meaning that they're selling higher in fees and rates and costs than, you know, some agents who've been on the floor for damn near decades, right? And so why though? Why is that? And I believe it is because of perception. And so over the years, some agents can perceive that they can get X amount in a pricing exception, whereas when a beginner or someone who's not as seasoned comes in and they perceive that the pricing exception was great, or they perceive that there was a pricing exception, it is their mindset that determines whether or not there was a price exception. And so when you compare it to someone who's more seasoned, been around, they kind of know, you know, the logistics, they know, you know, the kind of the spread, if you will, they're gonna know if you gave them the true exception, like a bottom line exception, or if they just got a minimal exception. And you'll know that they know, because then they'll combat and say, is that all you can get? And so I want you to know that even the best of us need pricing exceptions at times, because, you know, competition is it's everywhere. But I also want you to understand that it is your perception on the fact. It is the way you think of it. It is the way you react to it. And so my point here is I want to illustrate, how is someone able to sell a higher rate, higher cost, and higher fee versus someone who technically is seasoned and should know how to sell the higher rate, cost, and fee is not. And how they're able to do that is because if you believe something wholeheartedly, like strong enough, then it does not taint your enthusiasm. It does not taint your confidence, right? When I say taint, I'm not talking about that skin in between. Man, stop lying. You thought of that when I said taint. You nasty. Anyway, what I'm saying taint is like it's tainted, like it's cloudy. And so when you go in thinking that there could be an extra little bit of room, then you go in thinking like, oh man, this ain't the best. And so your perception, your mindset is kind of tarnished. Maybe that should have been the word. Now I got you thinking about taint. Man, stop lying. Anyway, going back to, mediocrity, that law of average, I want to share with you that a lot of it has to do with your mindset. Meaning a lot of the sales grind that we believe is a grind is because we believe it's a grind. Whereas if you study the mindsets of above average, if you study the mindsets of the elite, if you study the mindsets of the individuals who are generating and manifesting the the realities that we aspire to capture, right? We will find that it is simply their perception that allows them to reach those levels. It is their mindset, their attitude, the way they choose to think that enables them to experience things that only a few of us will ever get to experience. And I want all of us to experience it, because it is a real good sense of freedom to know that you could generate revenue, to know that you have enough value that your company needs you to be part of the reason as to why your company is growing, and to also contribute every single day as to reason why your team is winning, and then be at the top with the rest of your colleagues and the rest of your camp, and know that you fought to become one of the few that reach above average. And I hope that you reach above average today. You know, if this video helped you, please like, comment, and share this video with someone else who needs to look at average in a completely different way, and know that we have a choice, and that choice is yours today. The question is, what are you going to do about it, boo-boo? I thought so. I'll see you at the top, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.